The trade deadline is officially over, and the Clippers have stayed pat. No moves, no nothing. They will be going into the postseason with this current roster. Was it the right decision to stand pat? Could they have done something? How are we going to move on from it? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Post-Deadline Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. Take a look at a video I just released about my experience at the game on Wednesday, and Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know your opinion of what you think. The Clippers stayed pat. No moves. None. Now, the main reason for this is they feel good. They feel good. And we haven't been able to say the same thing the last couple of years. Remember, we traded for Norman Powell and Robert Covington in 2022. Last year, Bones Highland, Mason Plumlee, Eric Gordon. Even got Russ after the deadline off the buyout market. By the way, the Clippers are not eligible to get anyone off the buyout market because we're over the second tax apron. So we can't get anybody off the buyout market like that. But we might be able to get somebody like, a free agent that's just, on the market, on the free agency market, right? And I'll talk about some potential candidates. They're not very strong. And I think that's the whole point. That's part of the reason why the Clippers stayed solid. Who was there really out there to get, and what could we have gotten without giving up rotation pieces? There were rumors that Bones Highland, the asking price for him was 2 second-round picks. But, why would we even do that? Why do we want... we could get second-round picks to leverage for other things and whatnot because picks are very valuable. And second-round picks may not have the value of first-round picks, but they still are being moved and used in trades. But why not just keep Bones Highland, reevaluate his position in the team next year based on what happens in this offseason, and have him as insurance? You just never know what could happen to Russ or Harden. So just having him there, trading him and not getting anybody that can help us right now, who cares? You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that we kept him, but they feel good, and I want to let you know that that's huge because in the last couple of years, we've had to make a move. We had to. Now, remember what I said, and you might disagree with me, and that's okay. I said, if they get a power forward, if they get another big forward, that would be great, but I don't think we need it. And the reason why I say that is because even though we do have a struggle with some bigger teams with bigger front lines, the main reason we've lost to Minnesota, to the Lakers twice, to Cleveland, is because, and I said it, and this happened in the last game against New Orleans too, if three of our big four, which seems to happen when two of them play bad, three of them play bad, if two of them, and when I say if two of the starting three, Harden, Paul, or Kawhi, have a bad game, we are likely to lose. And you can make all the X's and O talk with this you want. Well, they struggle because they go up against bigger guys and this and that. Listen, Kawhi Leonard should be unguardable, right? When we got Kawhi Leonard, we got him because there was no one that could guard him one-on-one. He was a 30-point scorer in his sleep when it came to the playoffs. In the regular season, he doesn't shot hunt. He doesn't play for stats. He doesn't look to go off and go crazy on teams like the likes of Embiid and Luka Doncic. He's satisfied with his 30 to 40 points and playing hard defense and the win. That's it. But in the playoffs, if you've noticed, Kawhi Leonard always takes it to another level. So we need Kawhi to be unguardable. It's really that simple. And if he is unguardable, he will get double teamed. He will get loaded up on, and we will get open shots for other guys. They got to knock those shots down. Now, Paul George, he's a big thing, a big problem, right? When he's struggling, He just does it to himself. He continues to take tough shots. He always wants to dribble at the three-point line and, further than the foul line, catching the ball and wasting a lot of energy and motion to get off a contested shot. Now, he needs to be smarter. This would have been the case whether we got Harden or we didn't get Harden. He needs to be smarter in the playoffs. He needs to take the right shots. He needs to still be aggressive without just chucking. And here's my thing with Paul. When he's missing jumpers, why don't you get something easy? Why don't you try to go to the rim? Why don't you go to elbow P? I love elbow P. He doesn't do it enough. And I don't know if that's a Ty Lue thing. He's not calling out a play or whatnot, but you're an NBA player. Call your own number. Like there are transition opportunities, and I don't mean fast break. I mean off a miss. We're coming down the court. We slowed it down, and it might not be look over at Ty and ask for a set. It's go get something. Get into our offense. Paul George can get to the elbow. And then James Harden, it really comes down to him creating advantages one-on-one and in the pick and roll. If you're not switching the pick and roll, I think James Harden will create advantages. Now, what I've noticed, the one thing that can deter him is a great point of attack defender with a good drop big. And that would be Rudy Gobert in Minnesota or the Cavs or AD with the Lakers. You have a good point of attack defender and drop big. Now, if you look at Anthony Davis, I didn't listen to his podcast with D'Angelo Russell yet. But by the way, how many of these players have podcasts now? I can't even keep track. Theo Pinson, Andre Iguodala, and Evan Turner, Podcast P, Michael Porter Jr. I mean, it's insane. Even Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony have shows now. So and D'Angelo Russell, like Tyrese Maxey, Paul Reed, Pat Bev, like this is crazy. I'm having a hard time keeping up. But Anthony Davis said, I feel as though I don't need help on the pick and roll. I think every pick and roll when I'm guarding it should be 2-on-2, meaning that he can guard the ball and the roller at once. And I think Anthony Davis is the best in the league at this. Ivica Zubac now, he's not bad at it either. He's obviously not the level of those guys I named, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, AD, Gobert, but he's very good, right? But oftentimes we need a backside rim protector or a backside help from Kawhi, from Paul George, right? In Anthony Davis's case, he's saying don't help. Don't help. So that is the scenario I've noticed that James Harden can struggle a little bit. With this James Harden, though, the James Harden is prime. No guy in the point of attack is sticking with him off a screen. Like he was blowing by guys left and right. But this James Harden, what they do is they try to take away that pick and roll and they don't leave anybody open. They don't sag off anyone. So it comes down to James Harden knocking down a mid-range or getting to the basket and turning that corner fast, hitting a floater and just, playing basically a 2-on-2 game in the middle of the floor. So that's something to look at going forward. But I want to emphasize that the fact that the Clippers didn't do anything, it's not like we needed something. We are 34-16. We have one of the best chances of winning a championship as any team. And we have an insane roster. We have a super team starting lineup with 3 stars. We have fantastic complementary role players in Brewmaster, Terrence Mann, and Zubac. And then we have Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell coming off our bench. I mean, and here's another thing. Most playoff rotations are 8 to 9 guys. 10, if you want, it's a specific matchup, you throw in a guy for some spot minutes, which is what I think we're going to do with Tice Plumlee, the combination of those two against the Denver, against a bigger team. But in the playoffs, we don't want to go super deep in the rotation. 8 to 9 guys, and we got a great 9-man rotation with our starting lineup, and then Norm, Russ, Tice / Plumlee, and then Amir. And I don't want to change that up. And I think that's part of the reason why they didn't do a move. They don't want to change that up. They don't want to give up a rotation guy when things are going so well and you've won 26 out of the last 32 games. And I agree with them. It's not a big deal. Of course we would have liked to get someone, but PJ Washington for $14, $15 million a year for the next 3 years, like we would have had to give up something. And I don't think they were that interested in PJ Tucker. So it is what it is. In my opinion, we are in a better spot than a lot of teams. You got to remember, Ivica Zubac is not even 100% right now. If you're worried about Kawhi Leonard and matching up against bigger forwards, I think we take each matchup as it comes. Not every team in the league is that big. I know people are concerned about the Lakers and New Orleans. But look, if we need to, and I said this last episode, we can try Tyson Plumlee. Because if we're playing against a bruiser team, without a stretch four, with a bruiser four, we can try it. We can try it. Because Tice, let's see. He's shooting well from three so far this season. I know the volume isn't very high, but he is shooting well, so it's worth a try. But the moral of the story is, guys, the Clippers felt good. Paul George said it right the day before. We feel like we have enough. And to be honest, they do have enough. No team is perfect. I want to emphasize that to everyone. No team is perfect. Every team as a whole. Denver lost some depth off the bench. The Minnesota Timberwolves' second scorer is Karl Anthony Towns. And their third one is Mike Conley. Like, their half-court offense outside of the Ant-Man, there are some question marks to be asked. The Thunder are extremely young. As great as Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren are, one of those guys is their second-best player. Are you going to win a championship with that right now? I think that's a little bit premature. The Lakers are in the play-in. You want to talk about, we struggle with the Lakers. They're in the play-in right now. So, and the Cavs play in the East. I wouldn't panic too much. Coming up, though, could we get somebody off the free agency market? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. I'm going to go with Benedict Mathurin, and here's why. The Pacers just traded Buddy Hield to the Sixers. I think that's going to open up a lot for Ben Mathurin. I was pretty surprised that they did that. Not going to lie. I was really surprised that they did that because Buddy Hield, as much of a defensive liability as he could be at times, he is a great catch-and-shoot player. But now it's going to open up more for Ben Mathurin, the second-year man. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now you can also find it on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today channel now on Amazon Fire TV. All right, so the Clippers, we could use another big forward, but people are asking for like a big 6'8 to 6'10 forward that can guard and shoot the three. Like, these guys don't grow on trees. Aaron Gordon. People were saying Royce O'Neal. He's not necessarily a big forward. The Suns got him, which I don't necessarily like that they added Roddy from the Grizzlies and what was the name I just said? Oh, and Royce O'Neal. Yeah. Does that concern me, though, that Phoenix did that? No, it got them a little bit better, but I'm not concerned about Royce O'Neal and David Roddy. I think that they needed some wing depth, though, and they got some defensively. But it would have been nice to get some power forward depth. Now, a name that was waived by the Grizzlies that might be interesting to look at is former USC Trojan Chimezie Metu. And the reason he got waived is because, he is shooting 51% from the field this year for the Suns in 37 games. He was only shooting 29% from three. And this is a 6'10 on the skinnier side, stretch four. And this season he shot 29% from three. Last season, 24% from three. Now, he can shoot the ball, but he was really comfortable more with that college three. The NBA three, he struggled a lot so far. But ideally, he is a 6'10 guy. If you really just want size and somebody that can shoot open threes and keep the defense honest, Chimezie Metu, also from USC, it might not be a bad, get. But we have 15 guys. So you're going to have to cut someone, and that's a tough conversation. Are we going to cut Xavier Moon? I mean, he's not really playing for us. Primo. So I think the Clippers aren't going to do anything. I think they're going to go into the roster or the playoffs with these 9 guys or 10 guys. You add Kobe Brown to the mix, that's 11. Bowens Highland, that's 12. Kobe Brown, that's 13. And then you have the guys in the two-way contracts. Moussa Diabate, Jordan Miller, Josh Primo. So there you have it. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Boston as well. We'll see. I don't think we're going to get Chemezi or anybody, but it's an option. Now, a name that's being floated around, and I don't think it's very serious, especially, I mean, I floated it around on Twitter yesterday, but I'm not being that serious. However, I'm never going to say no. If we need an extra 4 that can come in for spot minutes, take some hits, and stretch the floor, why not the ultimate homecoming for a guy without a job right now? The at forward 6'10" from Oklahoma, number 32, Blake Griffin. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's obviously illogical. Not illogical, just unlikely. But Blake, last year for the Celtics, he shot 35% from 3. We know his size. If we want an extra body that can stretch the floor a little bit and play some minutes at a time, why not Blake? Now, the complicated thing with that is him and Ballmer's relationship. And by the way, if you're saying we don't want Blake Griffin in 2024, then you're what you were asking for of having like a serviceable, like actual rotation piece that's like as good as Amir Coffey or someone, that's not logical for unless we want to give up one of our rotation players. And that's just not the move. That's just not really, in my opinion at least. You don't want to mess up a good thing. So I would absolutely lose my mind if we got Blake Griffin, but I just think it's completely unlikely. However, Steve, anybody in the Clippers organization, if you're listening to this, we'd love it. We'd love nothing more. But that's what I think. I don't think we're going to pick up anybody. So, yeah, as I said, the Clippers cannot go for the buyout market. There are a couple teams. The following teams can't sign players off the buyout market. Who were making at least $12 million. This is the rule, that we're making at least $12 million. Bucks, Celtics, Clippers, Heat, Nuggets, Suns, and Warriors. So there you go. We're not going to be getting anybody serious. Somebody said Danilo Gallinari, but he's not like, yeah, he's a big forward that can stretch the floor, but he's not a guy that we want him against big teams, right? Gallo's not that type of guy. So I think we're set where we're at. But going forward, how do we move on? We have a weakness. It's a hole. We're small in the front line. What do we do to counter that for the rest of the season going into the playoffs? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. The 2024 Nissan Armada will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right, so the Clippers. How do we move on without getting that extra forward? We move on by playing the brand of basketball we've been playing all season. Now, with Kawhi Leonard playing at a high level, right, and guarding so well, let's just, you know what? I'm going to just like go right into the matchups. Okay, the Denver Nuggets, right? They have Aaron Gordon. I've said this time and time again. Kawhi Leonard can't handle Aaron Gordon? Like, you really think so? I disagree with anyone that thinks that. He's too athletic, he's this and that. Really? I personally don't think any forward in the league, maybe Giannis, because of his sheer size, is going to overpower Kawhi Leonard. Have you seen him in person? He's an actual brick house. And also, I really believe this. There's a psychological factor with Kawhi. Like, people are not going to go at him like that. But here's what I will say. Against the Nuggets, any other person besides Kawhi that we put on him, like Paul or Amir or Terrence, they're too small. So one thing I have to say, we might have to match Kawhi's minutes with Aaron Gordon. We seriously might. Because I'm afraid of him, in that high-low action with Jokic. He's so good at throwing those lob passes. And I remember, I think it was one of the games earlier this season, Aaron Gordon scored like 6 points on Paul George in one half. So Paul George is skinny. Remember, he did slim down. He said a couple of, and I think it was this past summer in Podcast P, he was saying that he wasn't really focused on bulking anymore. He's just trying to be slender, to still be able to move well. And that's totally fine. But I don't think that Kawhi is we need Kawhi to guard him, straight up. Outside of that, though, like the Denver Nuggets, they don't play with two bigs. They only had one big last year in the playoffs. Jeff Green was playing at the backup five. So, like the Nuggets, it's about Jokic, but I think we have three centers, and that's great. That's what we need. Like, I think that having Tyson Plumlee is a blessing in disguise. That Plumlee got, I should say this, I think Plumlee getting hurt was a blessing in disguise because we got Tice. He played so well that we don't want to do anything about taking him off the team or anything like that. So now we have three centers. Remember the formula to beat the Nuggets with Jokic and Murray. The last time that they were defeated with Jokic and Murray was the bubble against the Lakers, and they had three centers, Davis, McGee, and Dwight. So we need somebody like Dwight. Obviously, we don't have somebody as physical and good rim protecting wise coming off the bench, but we just need somebody that can absorb fouls. Mason Plumlee played with Jokic for several years. So, and I think Tice might be able to irritate him a little bit because if you watch the playoffs last year, and I'm not saying these people can guard Jokic. I don't think anybody in the NBA can guard Jokic one-on-one. I don't think anyone in NBA history may be able to guard Jokic one-on-one. Even Bill Russell and Hakeem Olajuwon, who I think are like the two best defenders at the center position. Nate Thurmond, I'd probably put in there as well. I'm putting on my historic cap. It's hard to guard him one-on-one. He has real post game and turnarounds over both shoulders. Like, what are you supposed to do? And he has great pump fakes. Like, he doesn't get this high off the ground, and he still finds a way. I mean, he's just such a spectacular player. So what I noticed though, when the Lakers almost beat them in game 2 last year of the Western Conference Finals, or was it game 1? And I remember they were going so crazy. They were like, we found something. Rui Hachimura, being like a 6'8", 6'9", big body, was able to kind of get underneath Jokic, get physical with him. LeBron kind of similarly. And they'd have another defender roaming. So I think a strategy that might not be the worst thing in the world is having Tice or Kawhi guard Jokic sometimes. Just try this, and then Zoo roaming off of Aaron Gordon. Or off the bench, if Zeke Najee's playing, someone like him. I want to check the Denver Nuggets role players' 3-point percentage this year. Like guys like Peyton Watson, these guys have this is their first year where they're really in the rotation. You know, they do have Reggie this year. I love Reggie. I think he's having a really good season, but in the playoffs, I think that he could come back. He could hurt them at times, potentially. But so let's see the Denver Nuggets, right? 3-point percentage. Zeke Najee is shooting 31%. Peyton Watson, 34%. So there you go. Christian Brown, 37%. I mean, these are the kind of guys you want to sag off of. Now, Minnesota, they are a little bit of a problem. Kawhi Leonard, I have confidence that he can guard Karl Anthony Towns. I have confidence that Paul George can even guard Karl Anthony Towns because I don't think Cat wants to play that physical. I think he's been really good this year, and it's mostly because of his shooting splits from three. Shooting splits and mainly from three, but I want to make Cat play physical. You want him to force him to be a post-up guy, force him to get out of his comfort zone, which is wild because at Kentucky he was a demon in the post. But I don't remember when we played him in the play-in Nico Batum completely shut him down. Like, completely. It was insane. So I think we can do this a similar kind of thing. And look, like, if we lose to the Timberwolves, you want to blame it on not having another forward? We should have the star power to defeat them. Like, straight up. So how we move on is just playing our brand of basketball. Every team as a whole. But we need to just be sharp on defense and sharp on offense. The main thing is the point of attack. We got to stay in front of the point of attack, stay locked in defensively like I know we can, like we did against Boston. This team, there's been two different versions of them defensively over the last couple of, like, I want to say month or two. Our offense has been lights out, which is what I expected when we got Harden. But our defense, which was the initial concern when we let go of Nico and Rocco, needs to be sharper, and it really comes down to effort because, you know, guys like Kawhi, guys like Zoo, Terrence, and Amir, and Russ, they'll play defense pretty much every single night. It's the other guys, you know, even Paul George, wavering motor. James Harden, we knew that. And it's been slowing down a little bit defensively, James Harden, for him, his effort. Norman Powell, I think he's been really satisfactory throughout the season. But Mason Plumlee is straight up just like not a good defender. So that's the why I'm pro Tice. And if we need to go big, we could even try Tice at the 4. I know everyone suggested this because Tice is the size of a 4. But in the modern NBA, you know, they like big threes playing the 4. That's what it's evolved into. Jason Tatum was a 3 when he first came in the league. Kawhi Leonard was a 3. They would have never, in that early 2010s Tim Duncan era, they would have never put Kawhi Leonard at the 4. Unless they were blatantly going small ball for a stretch. It just was a different game. So I want people to realize it is a small ball league. We are slowly, though, starting to see more size in the front court be a thing for teams. And now with Jokic having won a championship as the best player, being a center, first time since Shaq, you're going to have teams that are going to need multiple bodies to throw at him. And thankfully we do. And I think a lot of our struggles in like the recent stretch have been because we didn't have Zubats. And he's so important for the rebounding and our like interior defense and that kind of stuff. So like losing to the Lakers, let's see. I mean, we lost to the... I'm going to look at our last couple of losses real quick. Cleveland, right? We missed Zubats so much in that game, majorly. I don't think we lost that game because we didn't have a second big man. I think we lost that game because Paul George was 3 for 11 and James Harden could only get 8 shots off the whole game. That's why we lost. So remember what I said, 2 of the 3 not playing well. That's the recipe for the Clips to lose. Then we lost the Timberwolves. You know who else didn't play in that game? Zoo. We were starting Daniel Tice. I don't think that's ideal to start Daniel Tice against the Timberwolves. And also, Harden, 4 for 14. Paul George, 5 for 19. That's because, you know, Zubats is going to help with the screening with those guys, especially with Harden. So there you go. Lakers, we lost 106-103, remember? That game we did have Zubats, though. So that was the one. But again, you look at that game. Kawhi, 6 for 17. Harden, 4 for 13. So there you go. How we go forward is keep playing our brand of basketball. And that's simple as that. Kawhi Leonard, though, against Aaron Gordon, when we play them, he might have to be in at all times when he's in. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We got Detroit on Saturday. I think it's going to be a win. I won't be there, though. And that means we're going to win because I'm undefeated when I'm not at the games. We're undefeated when I'm not at the games this season. So 7-0 on the way. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. Fans, be thankful that we didn't have to do anything at the deadline. Other teams had to. Be thankful that we didn't have to, and it helps with continuity. No big shakeup, no integrating new pieces, and that can be useful. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers. Let me know what you thought of us not making a move in the deadline in the YouTube comments. Peace, and have a great weekend.